All right, Bond, can you hear me? You can't hear me. Wait there, wait there, wait there, wait there. One sec, Bond. One sec, one sec. Yeah, wait, let me see if that works.
That's better. Yeah,
All right.
I'm in
Can you hear
now.
me now?
Yeah, I can hear
All
you.
right, let's
Can you hear me?
All right, yeah, wait, I'm gonna come off the phone
Yeah,
and
yeah,
see
all
what
right.
happens, yeah? Yeah, Bond, can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, I can hear you. Wow, we're live. We're
We're
live.
in, innit? Just have to wait for you to add me in. That's it.
All right, sick.
So as soon
This
as you
is good,
added me
man.
on, then we're good. We're good.
Yeah, as you can
You know
see,
what?
this is
I was messing
live
around with
and
this.
direct.
I was messing around with his background. Can you see it or not?
No,
Or
I
it's
can
just
just see
a
your
regular
normal
background?
background at the moment. So maybe
Yeah.
that's something
Okay.
we'll look into next time, man.
Yeah. No worries, man. No worries.
Yeah, but yeah, good. This is it. This is it. It's been a long time coming, man. This is what you know. This is what we've been waiting to do, and now we finally got to it. So what I
Well,
think
how
we
does
should
this
do,
work then,
yeah.
Z? What? We're live. It says we're live now. So what do you do? You have to cut it or something, or?
Listen, Bon, we're just going as it goes, man. This is episode one. Whatever happens, happens, man.
Rowdy.
This
All
is
right.
it.
Fair
Like,
enough. Fair enough.
there's no, this is the raw cut and rugged. Can you still
The
see me?
raw
Yeah,
uncut
that's the main
version.
thing.
Yeah, I can see you fine. Your picture's
Right. So,
frozen
so
now.
what I was thinking, yeah, we go through five topics, five Arsenal topics. What I think needs discussing. Yeah. The first one is I want to talk about the central midfield, and we want to talk about Partey's role, Xhaka's absence. We signed Wilshere. What
Who
about
signed him?
Patino? Is he ready, or is it the fans just typical Arsenal fans getting ahead of themselves? We're going to talk about the last block just before the international break, what we think and what can we hope for the next block. Um, I want to talk about our vulnerability. Are we in a false position? Are we getting ahead of ourselves? I'm not trying to be negative or nothing.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to pull up now actually to see what games we've got in November. So we've got a batch of games, haven't we, before the international break? Are you still there, Z?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Bon?
Yeah, yeah. You froze for about 30 seconds earlier.
Well,
So I
just
can hear
now,
you
I was just
fine.
going
Just the
through the.
video
I was.
froze.
Did you hear about the list? Did you hear the list of topics I was going
I
through?
heard the list. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We was going to talk about Arteta's man management, and then the last bit to talk about is the October games. Yeah,
Yeah,
Bon,
yeah,
am
yeah,
I
yeah,
still
yeah.
here?
All right, cool. All right, so what? It's the same list, isn't it, that you sent me the other day, right?
Yeah, exactly,
All right, man, let's do it, man.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Is-
How you been
yeah, let's
anyway?
go,
Good
man.
weekend? You all fresh after your game?
Yeah, well, I had a shower and all that. Yeah. But anyway, all right, let's go. Let's first of all go. Let's start it with uh Partey's role. Partey's role in the midfield. How important is Thomas Partey? Do you feel in what we're doing?
I think he's crucial, really. I think even more so now with Xhaka being injured, missing for another few months. So I
Yeah,
think his role now becomes even more important for us. And we can't afford for him to be injured now. I know he's had his injury issues over the last few seasons, but I think now is a time when we need him. That senior member of our midfield. If he was to be injured, then we've literally got no options. We're looking at Lokonga and Maitland-Niles, El Neni coming back in, and that combination doesn't really fill me with confidence. So
would
yeah,
you
I'm just
say
hoping that he
Thomas
comes back from
Partey is?
international duty injury free and he can raring to go again.
Would you say Thomas Partey is Arsenal's most important player now? Is he the key?
Let me think. I'll probably say so because of the fact that we can't afford any injuries in that position. that position is quite key for us. And like if you look at our striking department, our defense, you can say that Lacazette can come in for Aubameyang. If Ben White's missing, then Rob Holding could come in. So we've got a couple of options. Pablo Mari as well. So, but in that central midfield position where it's games are won and lost in that battle, then definitely is crucial.
He's sort of been used as a number 6, sort of. He's been played in a defensive midfielder sort of role, and I think his importance was highlighted in the game against Norwich when he comes off the bench, and he just adds that little bit of quality that he's able to play. That when he came on against Norwich, he picks the ball up, makes that decisive cutting ball. I think he put it through to Saka.
Oh yeah.
It changes the game completely. Just that little bit extra quality, the way he tackles, the way he covers the ground. The only parts of his games which I think he's probably working on in training, and he's still trying that, is obviously the shooting is a bit hit and miss.
That's horrible, man.
I
don't know if it's Charles Watts, but there was something going around Twitter the other day saying how many goals Partey scored for Ghana. He's got a good record.
Yeah,
I think it's like 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
So whereas at Arsenal he just can't shoot. Every time he shoots, it goes into row Z. It goes over the stadium. So that's one part of his game that he needs to work on. But I think in the way that he plays for us, it's not an important part of his game that we need at the moment. We need the Partey that can break up play, can then feed the strikers and get the ball moving quickly in that position. Obviously, if you can shoot, then it's a bonus. But I think that will come. For me, I'm looking at other players in our midfield to kind of offer us those shots at goal and the goal contributions as well. But for me, if you can contribute maybe 5 to 7 goals in the Premier League, I'll be happy with that.
Would you how do you regard him in relation to the other centre midfielders in the Premiership? Do you regard him as one of the best centre midfielders?
You know what? If Thomas Partey was playing for Man United right now, you can see that will change their midfield. And
they don't want to hear it. These United fans, they don't want to admit it.
The McFred partnership, yeah.
That you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you remember do you remember how mouthy these guys were to us at the start of the season? Now, if we beat Palace, we're 1 point behind them. But they don't want to admit what we don't want to meet. If they had their team would be elevated so much more. If they had a Thomas Partey alongside Paul Pogba, that's the player they've got missing in their team, Thomas Partey.
And if you look at it though, if you look at the top 4, and you kind of say, okay, then can Thomas Partey get into a Liverpool? I think he can.
Yeah.
I think Thomas Partey can get into Liverpool, and I think he can get into Chelsea's team. Man City as well. I think they've got some aging kind of players in that centre midfield as well. So I think he can get into all of them top 4 teams. So we're quite lucky to have him in our team at the moment.
Yeah, we definitely got
it. But it's just a shame that we haven't seen him for a full season. He's just been breaking down after certain number of games.
Well, touch wood. Right now, he's on a good run. He's on a good run. You know what I mean? He's not being paid to be on the sidelines right now. He's on a. I don't want to jinx him, but he's starting to look like that record that he had at Fleck. To be fair, I think he was unlucky with the Chelsea injury at the start of the season, but he's getting a good run.
That was a game that we were kind of debating, weren't we? Like whether you risk a player like him, knowing Chelsea want to.
He's got to get minutes, hasn't he?
London derby, but it's one of those things that happens. It's a friendly at the end of the day, and hopefully now we can protect him. The 1 game a week, might be just about good enough for him. And now I think he should be fit enough, to last the full 90 minutes. So man, I think he's one of the players that we've been missing in that midfield for a long, long time. We've been talking about players like Vieira and legends, guys like Gilberto as well. These are like ballers, and we've had players like Denilson in there. Coquelin was in there for a period of time. Flamini, these players.
We've been crying. We've been starved. You know what? I think eventually I would like to see Thomas Partey being utilised as a more of a box to box central midfielder as opposed to just being a number six.
Yeah,
I hope we go into the transfer window and delve into the market to pick up a number six that would free Thomas Partey to get forward a little bit more and do that box to box. Because I think when he gets going, I think he's got more to offer than just sitting in the front of the defence. And I think that'll
yeah,
just elevate the whole team around him. If we can get him up into the higher part of offering us both ways, because he's got a lot of quality. Thomas Partey, I think he's underrated for what he can. For me, he's up there with the best midfielders in the Premier League. Like, he shouldn't be playing for a team outside of the Champions League. He needs to be playing for a team that's playing in the, not even Europa League, in the Champions League. He needs to be putting his, like you said, we're blessed to have someone like this. I mean, and I think that will move us lovely on to the next point, because you know what, I'm really frustrated with some of the fans that we have here. Like, I saw a few comments from some fans about Xhaka's absence and say, yeah, I'm glad, it's really good that Xhaka's injured. And, I mean, I don't want to see him injured, but I want him to get better, but go and play for another team. And you just think, you guys are buffoons, man. Like, do you understand? Like, I'm really disappointed in some Arsenal fans, some of the comments that Xhaka gets. Yes, Xhaka has previously made mistakes. And I think he's a victim of his early years for Arsenal, when he was in that sort of gang of players with Mesut Ozil and Squadron Mustafi, that little clique they had, Kolasinac. I think he's a victim of that period where he probably wasn't as focused as he should have been, not playing good football like he should have been. But I think if you actually sit down and watch Xhaka over the last 2 seasons, I think he's someone that we have really relied heavily on, and he's actually stepped up as a leader for the club. I think he made a couple of mistakes last year, Burnley, but I think if you overall look at what Xhaka's done, he's there. He hardly gets injured. He's been there week in, week out for us, and I think he's been really solid to how we play. And I think he is a positive overall influence to the team. So I don't personally understand what some fans' angles are when they're celebrating his injury, but I don't know what your opinion is on Granit Xhaka.
I heard some of those comments as well. After, you know what, yeah, when he got injured, I knew that was going to come. For me, I'm not, like, I wouldn't say I was Xhaka's biggest fan, especially after the incident, that sending off incident, the famous one at home.
When he told when he told the fans to F off.
Yeah, I think.
You know what? But I don't want to cut you, yeah, but I'm going to say this right now. As I always say, I would have told the fans to F off too. Yeah? I would have told them to F off. Yeah.
I think as a captain, you've got certain.
I would have told them to F off. Oh, you mean I'm coming off the pitch, yeah, and you're booing me? Like, you know what I mean? He's not a loser.
There's conditions.
He's just pissed off. He's pissed off, and he told them to F off. The fans will be getting. He's getting so much stick on.
He
gets so much stick.
He was being heckled during the game, and
by his own fans.
Like the way, by his own fans, and I think at the time in the game, we were chasing the game, and he's like strolling off the pitch. So
he's pissed off. He shouldn't have. And someone else. I think that will change now, but that's the whole culture of the club at the time, which by the way, I want to credit Mikel Arteta for, because I can slowly feel like a difference in the attitude of the whole club. But the attitude of the club at the time, probably at the end of Wenger's era, where players were taking liberties, like Alexis Sanchez, even though as much as I liked him, the Mesut Ozil, they were taking liberties with the club at times. And I just think, like, Mesut Ozil were, like, remember all fans coming, players coming off the pitch, not clapping the fans and stuff like that. There was a real bad culture within the club. But I think Mikel Arteta has turned that around a little bit. And I feel now, if we give everyone a clean slate from when Mikel Arteta has come in, does Granit Xhaka get too much stick?
Well, I was going to say, I was touching on that. I think the reason why he gets so much stick is from that sending off, not actually that substitution. But a lot of fans, I I'll probably say they're very resistant to kind of reviewing their opinion on him based on what's happened. So that's happened, and I think for me, I was annoyed with him. I was pissed off with him, but I think I've let that go now. He is still part of the squad at the end of the day. He was stripped of his captaincy, and I'd have loved to have seen him handle that situation differently. I would have loved to have seen him apologise quickly. Put that to bed, and then the fans will move on. But the fact that he never did, that kind of pissed off a lot of fans, and they never kind of forgave him for that. But going back on Xhaka, and the way I look at it, when we signed him from Germany, I think he was like on the German Player of the Season, wasn't he? He's in that midfield position, player of the year or team of the season.
Yeah.
So we kind of expected a lot from him. We're signing for about 30 million pounds or 35 million pounds. So we were thinking, we've got this bad boy player, but his role that he played in Germany is different to the role that he has at Arsenal. Whereas we were crying out for a defensive midfielder, and that's not Xhaka's game. So we expected him to come to us and play in that defensive midfield position, but he needed a defensive midfielder to play alongside him. So in terms of the style of play and all of that, I just don't think that that is quite his game. And Arsene Wenger tried to play him in that DM position, which just doesn't suit him. He's not as mobile to be able to cover that position on his own. And I think if you look at the partnerships that I have, is like, I'm thinking about a Vieira with a Gilberto. Vieira's that box-to-box midfielder. Gilberto was that guy that just sat back. We had Petit as well in that position that just sat back, and he was playing alongside someone. Whereas we got Xhaka in there, and he's basically holding that DM position on his own, and that just means that's a whole world of trouble that he's going to get in, because that's just not his game. He's not mobile enough, and he's not disciplined enough in that position. And yeah, I can understand. He's had a lot of errors leading to goals. There's situations where keepers have played him in bad positions. He's calling for he's trying to be brave and get the ball, but I think as the season's gone on, he's made less and less of these errors. And the other thing as well is that every manager that comes to our club seems to play him all the time. He's like their main man, whether it's Wenger, whether it's Emre, and whether it's Freddie Ljungberg at that interim period he had, and even now Mikel Arteta, he's saying he's my man.
Yeah.
So for me, these coaches are seeing something in him to warrant him having that position. But going back about am I happy with him being injured, and is there a chance for others to step in? The way I look at it is, if you look at our midfield as it is now, Xhaka is up there as the top two, say defensive midfielders, but the top two midfielders currently in the position that he plays at Arsenal. So you got Partey in that number one slot, and then after that it's going to be Xhaka, and then you've got your El Nenis and Lokongas and Ainsley. So when you're looking at that midfield five, and you're saying you're happy that one of your better midfielders is injured, that's going to be at the detriment of your team and your squad. So it gives Mikel Arteta less options because of the quality that he has behind him. So you could be happy that he's injured, but then you then looking forward, thinking, okay, then these guys that are coming in, are you happy now that El Neni's in there? Are you happy now that Ainsley Maitland-Niles is in there? Obviously, Lokonga's young, he can develop, but everyone's angry at the fact that we don't have enough experienced players within our squad. So then we want to rely on yet another youngster to try and carry us in that midfield position. So now the risk is, if Partey gets injured, then you're going to have a Lokonga and an El Neni or Ainsley partnership in midfield, and that will scare the living shit out of a lot of people, So you have to look at that in hindsight and say, well, actually, him being injured isn't to the benefit of Arsenal Football Club, because we need him in our team. Yeah. We need him to carry us. And if you look at how our season kind of tailed off last season, because he got injured, was having that good run, was in the Europa League. Although I don't understand why he's playing left back in a way, but when he got injured, that was it for us. We were done. We were done out there.
Yeah.
We got knocked out of the cup competitions because we need that experience. And you know, we look at like the more recent Brighton game, for example, where Lokonga was trying to play in that position and it just didn't work out. You know, we're missing Xhaka in there. So, you know, yeah, I understand that it was obviously Lokonga's first game and he's learning that position as well. But whereas you've got a youngster who's learning, whereas you've got an experienced player that knows his role, so you're going to get more out of him. And then he gives you the room to breathe and then blood these youngsters in and let them learn. At the moment, we just got too many youngsters in the team. Most of them are learning on the job, you know. So it makes it for like a very, you know, inconsistent season that I can see going forward. But yeah, no, that's my opinion. I think, you know, with Xhaka, of course, he can do a lot more, you know, relationship building. He needs like a Bellerin type agent, or you know, someone like that can just spread the good word. Man's putting some trees up, and you know, working with charity and stuff like that. You know, maybe this Amazon documentary is going to be good for him, isn't it? So we might see.
Start a YouTube channel, man. No, yeah, I think I don't know if the fan base, what type of fan base, you know, like you've got a lot of big influencers that have an impact on a lot of the fan base, and until I don't know if he'll ever be able to win over some of the fans, because a lot of fans are so you know, they're so intent on being correct rather than changing their opinions and looking at the actual facts of what's happening on that football pitch in front of us.
West Ham game in the background. I think scored actually. West Ham are leading Everton 1-0.
West Ham just scored.
Yeah,
who scored the goal, by the way?
Huh?
Who scored? Who scored? Antonio.
Who was it? Defender. Was it Obana?
Obana. Okay, decent.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he scored.
1-0 West Ham, yeah?
Yeah, man. Looks like a
decent result for West Ham. West Ham looks strong. Yeah, I feel like I don't feel like after Xhaka, I feel like there's a massive dip in the. I don't feel like I feel like no. In fact, I feel like Maitland Niles can do a good job for us there. And as can Lokonga. I'm not convinced with Elneny, but I still feel like if we like Xhaka is a massive miss for us, I think at the moment, and we, the team without doubt the level of the team drops. Like you said, we got players trying to find their way, and these players need to be bedded in every now and then. And this is what I wanted to talk about next is Charlie Patino, because he's the one. That a lot of the fans are raving about. Some of the coaches are saying he's like one of the best young talents that the club have seen. I just wonder.
I hate hearing that kind of comment, because I hear that all the time, especially at Arsenal. You know, we've heard it so many times. I remember, is it Jermaine Aliadier, like the best talent that's coming through, banging all the goals and stuff, and you know that happens all the time. For me, I'd rather just have a player just come in, just doing their job quietly, right, without all the pressure. But sorry, now you were saying about Charlie Patino.
Yeah, so there's fans calling for him to be. Obviously the under-23s are on a good one. I think they actually lost 3-0, if I'm right, or something like that, to Liverpool yesterday. He was on the bench for some reason, but obviously he's pulling up trees in the under-23s. But we can't forget that it's a massive jump. From the under-23s level to the first team level, as we've seen with, although he hasn't been given much of a chance, Florian Balogun, we've seen him, he smashes it, scores 2 goals almost every single game. But when he came into the first team, he didn't quite grab his chance, although it was a tough game for him to come into against Brentford. As we took a lot of stick from these other fans, but as we can see, Brentford are no mugs. They're no mugs, so it wasn't going to be an easy game for him to come into, and probably it's a bit unfair on him. That's been his only chance. I was a bit surprised that he didn't get more game time against AFC Wimbledon to show what he can do. But going back to the main point, back to Charlie Patino, are we getting carried away again as a fan base, and should we just trust Mikel Arteta to do the right thing and bed him in when he's ready, or do you feel like the fan base are right in saying that let's get him started.
Let's just start on saying, what position do you think he plays in, and whose position in the squad now do you think he can challenge? Because he's not going to replace anyone at the moment. So let's just say, who can he challenge at the moment in our current squad, and in what position? Because he's not. He's not DM, and I don't think
I think he could be a deep line playmaker. I could think he could probably play in Xhaka's position. He's a kid that gets on the ball. He dictates the play, like one touch, two touch. He's got a good variation of passing. He can come short. He can go long. He has got good football IQ. He's quite good at dribbling on the ball. He's not. He likes to take it in areas where you get worried, and he's very brave. He'll take it in the penalty area. He still call for the ball and want it, and believes in his ability to get himself out of certain situations. He's nothing like this player that I'm about to say, but the bravery of where he takes the balls reminds me of Cazorla. But I'm not saying they don't have completely different playing styles. But I'm saying that Cazorla would take the ball anywhere on the football pitch. He didn't care who was around him. 3-4 players who take it, and I forget that sort of thing from Charlie Patino. And then the way he just gets it, bang, a little pass outside, take it back, bang, put it there, bang, long ball, bang. He's got good overview of how he gets the whole picture of the park. And when I actually went to watch him against Chelsea when we absolutely smashed them oil rig money team 6-1 at their grounds, and we played with 10 men for like for 45 of it. He started when I first got there. He was playing higher up, then he dropped into the number 8, and then he just did what he had to do for the team. So I really liked his attitude. You can sense he's ahead of everybody else. The only thing is, I'm just wondering, like at first team level, if he makes a few mistakes and the fans kill him for it, how much that might affect him. I'm not sure if he's central midfield is similar to like central defence and goalkeeper. It's one of them positions where, like I feel the player, if you're going to bed a youngster in, like I suppose some players can do it, but I'm just worried that we could try and bed him in too early, and I'm just worried about. Do you think the fans get ahead of themselves? Like I was going to go back to, or do you feel like, from what you hear, do you reckon we should be using him more in the first team now?
Boy, I don't see how you fit him into the team at the moment. That's just how I'm looking at it, because you've got Partey in there, you've got Lokonga in there now. Xhaka is obviously injured, and then I think you're going to want to persist with Lokonga rather than trying to bring Charlie Patino into the team. And obviously Ainsley does a job, and Elneny, he works really hard as well. I just think with Charlie Patino, I haven't seen enough of him to say.
Do you feel I was going to ask you a quick question. Do you feel in our League Cup games, do you feel we should be using Charlie Patino ahead of Elneny, considering Elneny's going out of contract, and hopefully we don't have, in my opinion, any desire to give him a new contract? Do you feel Charlie Patino should be getting a look in, even if it's not in the central midfield, maybe as a number 10, or get some minutes so we can just start seeing if he's ready or not? Or do you feel
it depends who you're playing? Because if you're playing a team like AFC Wimbledon, for example, then that would have been an ideal kind of audition for him to play. Lower league opposition. We're playing Leeds in the next round, so that's going to be a tougher proposition. And you're going to need to have a team that's got experience, and a team that has that has the know-how to try and manage that game. And I think throwing in a youngster like Charlie Patino might be a bit too much. So I think we do have a squad of players, and the players that can't break into the existing team now. So, for example, the ones that are coming in off the bench, the likes of Ainsley, Lokonga, possibly we may need game time, and then who else am I missing? Elneny. So I think these are the guys that over the course of the season we're going to have to rely on them one way or the other. Injuries or whatever, suspension. So we can't on one side keep them in the squad and keep them in the cold and not give them the game time that they need because we want to, bring in someone like a youngster that's up and coming through the team. And I think this is why we miss playing in Europe because, if we were involved in the European Cup competitions, we could have given these players those minutes that they need and let them learn in those competitions and in the early rounds of the cup competitions as well. And I think that would have been ideal for these kind of players. But I would have to agree with the way Mikel Arteta's handling it because there's a massive jump from under 23s. Man, you've watched him recently, so you can, I think you're in a better position to actually say whether you think you can break into the existing team now. But in my opinion, I just think that it's just the highlights that I've seen of him. He is good, but I think he's very kind of frail. He needs to bulk up a little bit. And I understand what you're saying is that touch and go. He's one of those players, a bit like Smith Rowe when he first broke in. He was just a one-touch player, touch and move. But he can vary his game up a bit. I understand that. But I think for me, man, he's a little bit too weak to be playing like with full men's football on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. So
you know what, I just trust what Mikel Arteta is. If he doesn't think he's ready, just bed him in. I think he needs to be bedded in and looked after slowly, similar to what they did with Phil Foden at Man City. I don't want to rush him. I want him to be completely ready, develop physically and in decision making. When I watched him against Chelsea, admittedly, I was watching him because I was getting so hyped up of what everyone was saying about him. And don't get me wrong, he didn't have a bad game or nothing. And obviously, we won with 6-1 with 10 men, 6-1. So he must have done something right, and he's playing central midfield. But there was still one or two things which I think he needs to polish up in terms of his games. At times, he was a bit sloppy. A couple of the passes where we could have kept it, he didn't keep it. But these are all trivial things. But I went in there with the attitude of watching him on all these Twitter highlights and YouTube highlights, and everyone gassing up saying he's like the next biggest thing. And I'm not saying he's not, but I just think we just got to be. He's one of these guys that we have to be patient with, and who knows. But one thing I am happy about is that he's going to be training alongside Super Jack Wilshere, who the club have given a opportunity to train with the under 23s as well as the first team. I just want to get your opinions now quickly on whether or not you feel has Jack Wilshere got any chance of possibly getting a contract with the Arsenal, or is it something that is what it is? We're looking at we're being a classy club. We're a club of class. We're looking after a player that played for us. We've seen his down and out. And we said we're giving him a chance to get himself up and helping him. We're not just going to turn our back on one of our own. Or is it a thing like if he does do good enough in training, can we offer him maybe a pay-as-you-play contract to the end of the season? Or is that completely off the cards and that ship sailed sort of thing with you? How do you feel about that one?
Yeah, I think Super Jack being back at the club, man, it's a nice gesture for the club to have him back back in and training with the youngsters. And he's now at the age where you think that looking back at him breaking through. I think I remember watching him in the Emirates, the Emirates tournament, the pre-season tournament we used to have at the Emirates Stadium, and just I think he was being compared with some Arsenal legends. I think Jimmy Greaves was mentioned and a couple of them guys there, but it just hasn't. I think the injuries have taken its toll, and I think I remember as well there was a lot of talk about Jack being the future for the England team. He's going to be the guy that's going to lead them on, and for him it just hasn't worked out, and it's a shame. The injuries have taken its toll, and but do I think he can break into the team? I don't think so. I think he just breaks down too quickly, too easily, in fact. And I think it's just a nice gesture for the club to kind of get a former player back in, hopefully build up his fitness, like he was saying, and then maybe because of the exposure that he's going to have with the Arsenal, he can, manage to manufacture a move to a team and carry on his trade. But I think on the other side as well, Jack may be looking at it as an opportunity to get his coaching badges. You know, I saw a
Mm.
picture of him and Mertesacker watching the under-23s. You know,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've been here. Surely, though, surely in the back of his mind, he must be thinking when he's training. If I play my, if
yeah,
I play my,
absolutely.
if I'm there training with Arsenal, then I'm thinking, right, I've got to get my fitness up. I'm gonna show them like I'm still a player. Maybe they're on the off chance they'll give me a contract. Maybe they won't. He probably don't want to give himself disappointment, but I would always have that in the back of my mind. Like I've got, like maybe I can shine and show them I'm still a player. But yeah,
Yeah,
I hear
absolutely.
what you.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree, and I think as a player, that's probably in the back of his mind, thinking, if I impress, there's got to be a chance to me. He's probably looking at midfield, thinking, well, if El Neni's in there, man, I got
Yeah,
a chance to get in there as
that's
well.
what I'm
So
saying, man. Like that's what I'm saying.
but but for me, I just think
Mm,
that he's gone to Bournemouth, and I think after like all the injury problems he had at Bournemouth, and then I'm not sure what happened after that. He just seemed to have dropped off the cliff, and he's really struggling to find a club. And I thought, you know, after Bournemouth, he may be able to find himself a decent club, even if it was in League One or go abroad somewhere. But it just hasn't materialised. And I think that if he can't, even get himself some trial games for these kind of clubs, then what chance does he have at Arsenal? So
I
I just
think,
think
I
that we're
think, I
helping him
think,
out.
I think on ability, Jack Will should be playing like he should be getting a contract. I think what clubs are scared of, especially in this current climate, is to invest in a player that potentially could easily break down. I know they could offer a players you play contracts, but that's unethical to me. But I think clubs are just basically it's just solely based on his injury record, which is why I personally think is the only reason why he's not getting a club because he's only 29 and he's not and his body should be relatively young because he's hardly played.
Yeah.
Um, I just think it's like I'm a bit shocked no one is taking a chance on Jack Wilshere, even at worst in the Championship. I
Mm.
don't think his game would probably be suited to. I think his game probably not even suited to Championship, but definitely not to a League One club. He should be able to get in a Championship. Surely Jack Wilshere should be able to play for a Championship team. There
Even if
must be someone,
even if
but hopefully he's on a free agent. So I think when you're a free contract, you're able to sign at any stage in the season. So hopefully, some teams are really short in central midfield and really need to take a chance on something and may give him a go in a central midfield.
for me,
Maybe
I like the fact as well that he's looking at his options. So he's looking at the future. Like Jack Wilshere, the manager, and that should be exciting as well.
yeah.
At his age, imagine he's getting his kind of coaching badges now, and he's working
Well,
with the
he's
23s.
I was seeing that. I was hearing. I think I was watching actually. Was it AFTV? And I heard Curtis say that all players have to do their first two coaching badges, and then it's up to you whether you want to do your B license or A license. You have to be recommended for it. I heard that Ainsley Niles is actually doing his one, which me personally, and some people think should they just concentrate on the football or should they be doing it? I personally think if you've got an opportunity to do your A license as a football, you can only get better from not understanding the game more from a coaching perspective. So when you play it, it makes more. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's any harm whatsoever in doing your coaching badges. I reckon he'll become a better player for it,
Mhm.
tactically at least, and just understand the dynamics of the game. But going back to the official point, I just feel if El Nenny's anywhere near the squad, I feel, man, this like if Jack can get his fitness up where he's able to cover the amount of yards he needs to cover. I know, and then he offers a lot in the press and offers a lot in his running aspect of the game, and he covers a lot of ground. It just a player that really frustrates me sometimes, just like his lack of footballing IQ.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
it's one
the
of those things,
next,
isn't
let's
it?
go on.
We could probably chat about this a bit longer because is El Neni should he be in the squad and should a few other players be in the squad and stuff, and there's been a whole host of changes in the summer to get to kind of massive cull in effect, and we've signed quite a few
Yeah,
players. So I think we're just in the process. We're just getting the base right, aren't we, before we can start looking at the diamonds that would obviously help elevate us to that next level, the Champions League. where we want to be. So yeah, it's a conversation for maybe another time. But I would love to see Jack be playing football again. Hopefully in the Premier League.
Yeah.
If not Champions League, and why not try abroad, man? I
Yeah.
think Italy might suit him. He's got that technical ability. He obviously never had the pace, but the way that he plays, he just glides on the pitch, and I think Italy would kind of suit his style more, or like Spain.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess it then comes down to wages and whether they can afford to pay someone like that and what he would demand. But I'd love to see Jack playing football, man. Continue that.
Speaking of one of our other central midfielders, Guendouzi.
Yeah.
And it goes on to my next point of Mikel Arteta's man management of some players, and has it been to the detriment of Arsenal Football Club, or has he done what was needed to change a culture of a club? So it's that balance between the two, because obviously now we're seeing Guendouzi, we've let him go apparently for 10, 11 million. I heard Arteta say he's still an Arsenal player. So there was sort of I thought, I had the understanding he went to Marseille with an obligation to buy. So I sort of thought that it's a done deal when he's at the end of the season, if Marseille want him, which I'm guessing they do because he's 11 million and he's a French international central midfielder. All right, he's not starting yet, but he's getting into their squads. So he's obviously doing enough for Marseille for them to recognise him being that good. And let's not forget, he was getting into the French squads when he was with us at certain points. So my question to you is, not only is it Guendouzi that I want to look at, but I'm a bit concerned with, a lot of fans are concerned with Martinelli also, and some of the other young Mavropanos, and they're a bit concerned with certain elements of Arteta's, the way he has managed some players, and has it worked out in the best overall interest for Arsenal Football Club, the way he's managed some players? And I just want to get your opinions on that.
Yeah, that's one of the things with Mikel Arteta is his man management style. I don't think he's a good man manager, and I think his lack of experience in managing certain players' characters is obviously evident because of the way some certain players are treated. If you compare Guendouzi, for example, and then you compare someone like Xhaka, who I have seen have ill discipline on the pitch. He had that red card, didn't he, against Man City, and then he comes straight back into the team. So I'm not sure if maybe someone like a Xhaka might be quite experienced in that. He would apologise to the team after the game and hold his hand up, and then the manager would say, "Okay, that's fine, I can watch," and then brings him straight back into the team. Whereas someone that's as young as a Guendouzi will be more resistant to apologising and putting his hands up, and then as a matter of principle, the manager then thinks, well, you're not you're not obviously showing your teammates the respect that I think they deserve, which means that I'm going to have to obviously cull you from the team. So I think there's certain examples that you've seen him do, like obviously the way that he treated Mesut Ozil. Even though a lot of fans was divided on whether we needed a number 10 at the time, and we kind of exiled him for the team. Mikel was always saying that was my decision. We look at Mustafi and all of those players, and okay, he managed to get tune out of some of these players for a period of time, but then sometimes you got shit players. They're always going to come back, and I think when he came to Arsenal, I heard there was a conversation that he had with Freddie Ljungberg, and I think Ljungberg was giving him the background on some of the players' characters, and I think that with Mikel Arteta, he kind of think, okay, then I need to kind of get rid of this clique that's in and around the Arsenal dressing room. So I need to kind of wash it all off. And he had this thing about my non-negotiables that he came out and said there's a certain standard that he wants to keep. Players like Aubameyang was obviously embarrassed publicly for being late for that game against Tottenham. So you can see that he's basically trying to set a standard that, you know, this is the standard that I want for, you know, for Arsenal Football Club. And, you know, if you're not disciplined enough, you're not showing what I need to see, then you're not going to make it into the team. And he's been very ruthless in some of the players that he just thought, you know what, I can't help you. So players like Mesut Ozil, the Mustafis, and them kind of guys, he's moved them out of the team as soon as he could. And obviously that players like Guendouzi, the younger types, that I think under Emery played a hell of a lot of games. And for me, I was impressed with him when I saw him play. And not like a lot of some fans are saying they weren't that impressed with him, but for him, I think he played like 50
You know
something
what?
games.
I was actually one of the fans that was thinking, is he being overhyped? Because when I used to watch him, I'm used to Arsenal at their best, so I know it's one touch, two touch. I think you always say it with Wenger with a stopwatch. Used to time how long people would be on the ball and how long it would take them to move the ball on. And I think that at top level, that's crucial. And when I used to watch Guendouzi, I'm seeing him take 6-7 touches every time he touches the ball. And I just felt for a central midfielder that wasn't good enough. But at the same time, he obviously has facets to his game. He's another brave player that would take it anywhere. There were good elements to his game. But then the only thing I'd say is we're not privy to what goes on behind the scenes. I know he had a massive turning point for Arteta, which appeared to be the last, what's the word? Basically the last thing that Arteta could take from him was at Brighton with that Mopé incident, when he started to talk about how much he's earning and all of this. And I think Arteta was already cheesed off with him. And he was in that clique with Mesut Ozil and that little jokey clique. And I've got it's tough because I feel like as a business, you need to make the most out of your resources. And I know we've had to be ruthless because how bad the culture of the club was, and that had to change. And so that's meant we've let players go for free, not getting nowhere near their value. And I was worried that, do a lot of clubs look at us and think we don't have a clue what we're doing? But I'm happy that the clubs addressed that, bringing that Garlic guy from the FA to handle negotiations alongside Edu. So I think eventually that would change. But I feel like we've had to take drastic action and change. The culture of the club had to change, and I think we've taken the hit with some players, and I feel Guendouzi is a victim of that, because I think at 19, 20 years old, you're still growing into a man. So I'm thinking, did we be a bit too hasty in letting him go? Could he grow as a man? But I guess Arteta just had to show everyone, saying that that's not the standard at Arsenal Football Club anymore, and that's not what we're about.
Yeah, I think for me, it goes back to like you said, he's a young man, isn't he? He's a teenager, basically coming into a man, and you're going to have teething problems when you're developing players that are coming in from the younger age group to the more you can't. Not everyone's a Smith Rowe, not everyone's a Saka, and you're gonna have your different characters. And for me, with Guendouzi's situation, I understand. Obviously, after Brighton, he was kind of exiled. I heard that there was that tour as well, the pre-season tour, where he caused some issues. But these are all kind of rumors. Nothing's actually ever been concrete. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes,
and I don't think it will. And the thing, but then, go on.
No, I was going to say that I don't want to be judging the kid on rumors that potentially he's done this, potentially he's done that. And I understand he was on loans. He had similar comments from his loan clubs where you're hearing that he's causing some dressing room disharmony. I think they described him as a young kid going through puberty in one of his loans, and even in Marseille, we've heard a couple of comments about his teammates not too happy with him in the change room. But at the end of the day, the kid is delivering on the pitch. The kid's a winner and he wants to win. And if he's seeing players that he feels are not pulling the weight, then he's quite vocal. He's a Frenchman, isn't he? He's very passionate about how he goes about and explains certain things. And as he grows from that teenage years into a man, then he's going to handle those situations differently. Let's not forget, he's the captain of the French under-21. So he's doing something right. They're seeing leadership qualities in him. I saw leadership qualities in when he was playing for Arsenal under Emery. You know, like a kid that was so young, that was so brave on the ball, willing to drive the team forward. And let's not forget, that was like the midfield that he was playing with. That was quite a terrible midfield or terrible team to be playing with. You know, so for me, when I look at Mikel Arteta, I think he could have managed him better. He could have got more out of him. Just put an arm around him. You know, just get him to focus on his football. And then you're right. We could have got more from him, but I'm liking what I'm hearing from Mikel Arteta recently in saying that, you know, he's still our player and he's still got future Arsenal. So you know, if the fact that he does well on his loan, because Saliba's there as well, so I'm guessing they're watching both of them. If he does well on his loan, then the door can still be open for him to come back, because I still think he's quality and he can, you know, that compared to what we have now, he can definitely be doing a job for us. You know?
Did he get, so do you, let me ask you a few questions. I'm going to throw a few names at you, and I want you to tell me if he's got them correct and how he's managed them, yeah? Yeah?
Okay, you're going to throw some names at me now, yeah? So.
Yeah, I want to throw some names. All right, Guendouzi, did he get it right, yes or no?
For me, it's a tough one because I don't know what's happened behind the scenes, but from what I'm hearing, I'm just saying no, because I like the kid and I think he could have got more out of him. I think, yeah, so I'll say no.
No. Maitland-Niles, Maitland-Niles,
Ainsley's a different proposition,
Maitland-Niles, yeah. He's put stuff on his Twitter. He's put stuff on his Instagram about him not being played, and he just wants to know. He's come out to the press. He's one of these players that obviously I think he's got a different type of attitude. One time I saw him coming on the pitch with a gold chain on as a professional footballer, which I thought was personally ridiculous. But I want to know. I want to know if you think if he's managed Maitland-Niles correctly, or should he let him go? Yes or no?
I would say that in hindsight, he should have sold him when he had that breakthrough when he made the England team. But yeah, so I think he should have sold him then. But has he managed him well? I think, for me, I'll be looking at Ainsley more than Mikel Arteta, because Ainsley had the opportunity to look at the fullbacks, you know, the right back position, for example. That was his to lose, you know.
Yeah.
He started throwing his toys out the pram, talking about my preferred position is midfield, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, you know, come the last few days of the transfer window, you start hearing his agent talking about, he's always said he wanted to play midfield. He's, you know, he's made his thoughts on that clear with the manager. All this kind of like I don't know, like I just didn't like the way that came out, and I thought that if that was the case, he should have said that at the beginning of the transfer window, saying I want to play and wherever the manager wants me to play, I'm going to play. And it just so happens that this season he hasn't even played at left back or right back. He's been playing in midfield.
Yeah.
So, you know, has that message of him saying I can play anywhere really translated through? Because from what I'm seeing is we could have done with him playing at right back early on in the season when he didn't play there. You know, we're still persistent with set. But yeah, going back to your question, as he handled him, I'd say yes. He's handled him as best as he can, in my opinion.
Okay, Nicolas Pepe. Has he handled him correctly or wrong?
I think he's stuck with Pepe. Personally, I think he's stuck with him. I don't know who signed Pepe. Let's just get that in there, because you know, Emery didn't sign Pepe. He wanted Zaha, right?
Yeah.
So someone from the management team decided on Nicolas Pepe, and because of the amount
it was Don Raul, I think. Don Raul, and he was doing some dodgy stuff with the money as well.
Yeah, so I think, you know, he's stuck with him. You know, so we're all sat there with a 75 or whatever, £70 million player on the bench, and there's pressure to play him. But sometimes you've got to look at the player, man. And I think, you know, in this instance, has he handled him? What could he have done with him? he's given him opportunities. As far as I can see, he's had more opportunities than Martinelli. Let's put that in there. And to be fair, you've had the likes of Saka outperforming, and even Smith Rowe outperforming Pepe. So for me, I don't know what Mikel can do with him. So yeah, I'll have to pass on that one. I say that it's a player rather than a manager.
Me personally, with Nicolas Pepe, I think he managed him well initially. I think when Pepe was walking around the place because he had a big transfer fee, like I'm the big I am, and Mikel Arteta basically bang him right back down to earth. Didn't give him no games, and then I saw at the end of last season, I thought, wow, we've got a player in Nicolas Pepe, and he can start repaying what we paid for him. Like we're paying him 25 million a season or whatever we're giving to Nice. I thought, but then every now and then you'll see Nicolas Pepe. He's a frustrating player because he's got so much ability, and then he just doesn't. He just holds up the blade, slows down the game, and I can see Arteta wants more from him. But I think me personally, I think he has managed Pepe well, because I think a manager needs to get the most out of his assets, and you can't keep playing someone who's not delivering. And I feel like when he stopped playing him,
the only thing I'd say about Pepe is that we seem to get the best out of him when he's on the left rather than on the right. And I think for Mikel Arteta, he seems to be persisting with playing him on the right hand side, and we're seeing to the detriment of Saka sometimes.
It'd be interesting. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see it'd be interesting to see how he combines with Tommy. Because I know with Bellerin behind him, they didn't really have a really good relationship. But with Tommy, that will make runs on
any of our fullbacks, especially whoever.
I think he played a bit better with Chambers behind him, because he was getting a lot of goals from the right.
Best out of him, I don't know. Yeah, maybe because when Chambers was running forward, he kind of run on the outside, whereas Bellerin was coming on the inside, and
and that's what
around the halfway line. So. Yeah, I guess in that sense, but yeah, I think just changing him round, putting Pepe on the left, and then putting Saka on the right. I think you might see a better Pepe.
Yeah,
that's my opinion on that.
So, yeah, Martinelli. Martinelli, what are we saying about Martinelli?
Martinelli, it's one of those things that I don't know if he's the most unlucky player. At the moment, because last season when he came back from that serious knee injury, it's one of those things that I kind of took that he's going to take a while to come back to his best form. Now this season, I'm expecting Martinelli to hit the ground running. He's just come back from the Olympics with Brazil. He's done well. Okay, he's missed the pre-season, so he's got thrown straight back into the team. Maybe he wasn't quite ready when he got thrown straight back into the team, but I think that he's not getting enough minutes for me. He needs to be getting more minutes in the pitch, and especially when player that we're just talking about now, Pepe, having such a horrendous start to the season. Rather than bringing Pepe on, I would prefer to see Martinelli come on, because I think he offers us that explosiveness that we need from someone coming off the bench, whereas Pepe sometimes it takes him a long time to get into the game. So he's better off for me starting the game than actually coming on to trying to influence the game. So yeah, with Martinelli, I think he's one of those players that definitely needs game time. And I think it if I was him now and this continues in January, I'll be looking at my options. And I know obviously the ball's in our court because we've signed a long-term contract. So maybe going out on a loan for the last 6 months or whatever, the last half of the season, doing good. He comes back because he's young and he needs to be playing.
Is that even with is that even considering Aubameyang and Pepe will be going off to the African nations?
Aubameyang and Pepe, yeah, there may be more opportunities for him, but as long as Saka and Smith Rowe are fit, then they're going to be playing. And I think if you were to keep Martinelli, it would be more of a selfish point of view in keeping our options open, so someone that can come in off the bench and influence the game.
Well, it's got to be our interest. It's got to be the interest of Arsenal Football Club first. Before, I know we need his personal growth, but we need to make sure we're not light.
But then at the same
still
time,
young.
for me, I still think that you know, we need him to grow to be able to kind of demand that starting position next season. If he just kind of continue as he is and just getting the odd minutes here and there off the bench, I mean, like, you know, talk about Pepe going to the, you know, to the AFCON. Even now, Pepe's not getting enough minutes. So imagine he's gone to the AFCON now, and then his position becomes available to Martinelli. Martinelli's getting the same minutes that Pepe's getting. That's still not good enough. So if I was him, I'll definitely be doing a Leno and seriously considering my options come December.
Having a word. Yeah. So do you feel like he's got Martinelli wrong then, Bon? One sec.
Hello?
Hello, yeah, one sec. Yeah, go on, Bon.
Oh yeah, did you say did he get Martinelli wrong? I think he hasn't given him the minutes that he needs. So yeah, definitely getting that bit wrong. I think Martinelli should be getting minutes on every game. He should be coming on every game for me and building up the minutes, and then he can start, you know. So yeah, I think for me, he's definitely got that wrong. Before last season, I gave him the excuse of Martinelli's been injured, so he's slowly kind of nursing him back into the first team. But it looks to me like he's nursed him back for Brazil, you know, whereas we need to nurse him back for Arsenal and get him the game time that he needs. So yeah, I think he's definitely got that wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, but let's go to the last point, then we might as well start to wrap this up because it's been over an hour and the time actually flies. Yeah, so the October games, the last block, 10 points out of the possible 10 points out of 12. How do you feel?
Let's look at the games quickly because I did have that up earlier. The last block, yeah. So you're talking about before
was the last block?
So we've got Palace at home, Villa at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we've got the Carabao Cup against Leeds. That's at home as well. And then we've got Leicester away.
Yeah.
Watford at home again.
Yeah. It just beat who?
And then that's it. We have a break before Liverpool. So
Wolves at home.
Break, yeah. So we have what, 1, 2, 3, 4 home games, you know.
So how much points should be the target for Arsenal, and what's realistic?
For me, all right, let's look at game by game. What's your thoughts on Crystal Palace quickly? Do you think that's a win or not?
I think Crystal Palace tend to show up against the bigger teams because I've been seeing them be making a lot of mistakes. So it's one of the teams where you want them to have more of the ball, especially in and around defence, because sometimes they're liable to a mistake. But Vieira's got them playing. It's a tricky game. Palace is always a tough game. Like, I don't think we've won,
isn't it? So
yeah, it's a derby, but I don't think we've won. I think they've nicked a few points off us over in recent years. I feel they're just a solid side, and sometimes we struggle against those. I think it's a game. I regard it similar to the Brentford game at the start of the season. It's a game we need to take points off out. There's probably like the easiest 3 points out of all of them, but I think it's a game we could struggle in.
Yeah, it's not going to be. I don't know. It depends what Arsenal turn up, right? So if it's the Arsenal that turned up against Tottenham, then I think we're going to brush them aside. You know, fairly easy routine win for Arsenal. I say easy as in it's going to be a 2-3-1 performance or result. So yeah, I think Palace, they themselves have gone through a lot of changes, similar to us. You know, they had an aging team last season. They've got a new manager in Vieira, who's young, who's kind of forward thinking. You know, so he's managed to get his team to gel. They've actually lost only two games this season, and have drawn quite a few. Only one win as well. So I think you know,
but a lot of draws.
It's 2 draws and 2 defeats, isn't it? 2 draws, 2 defeats, and 1 win. I think it is. So it's one of those games that I look at it. They come into the Emirates Stadium. Obviously, the fans will be buzzing because Vieira's coming home. You know, we're going to be singing Vieira's name. He's going to be the best supported away manager, even probably more than Mikel Arteta, to be honest. So I think he's going to feel right at home, coming to the Emirates Stadium. And
which ain't necessarily a good thing.
It's not a good thing for us, but that will help his team as well to feel more comfortable. But end of the day, man, I can't see anything other than a win for Arsenal. I can't see.
So we need 3 points, basically 3 points from that one. Villa. The next one's Villa.
Villa is a difficult one because when I spoke to you before, I said it's going to be another easy 3 points. But I think they've got a few players coming back now, haven't they? From injury. I think Buendia played in the last game, and they kind of fell off, didn't they? The last 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and they lost that game. But
they actually lost. They actually lost yesterday, didn't they?
They lost, yeah. They were winning that game as well. Up until the last 10 minutes, I think it was. So the Wolves managed to turn that around. But again, that was a derby as well. So you can never switch off from these games. And I think the fact that Villa played quite well in that game, they're getting their players back now from injury. So that defeat is a real
tough game. Tough game.
I'm expecting them to show something now coming to Arsenal, because this is their next game. So
remember they were taking a piss out. Well, no, it's taking the mick out of us. Like they were trying to sign Emile Smith Rowe and all his foolishness, like as if we're like some poppy show, small club. I don't know what these guys are. But anyway, I think I personally think that could potentially be a draw. I mean, I'll be buzzing if it. I think that's a massive test. That's a big test. It's a game we need to win, but I feel it could be a game. Let's not forget Villa travel well. It just depends what Arsenal turn up.
Yeah, Villa seem to be
defensively we're solid.
They seem to be getting results at the Emirates. I think even were they the first team to win at the Emirates?
Yeah.
Or I think so. Or either that. I think they beat us. I think we had Villa once in the first game of the season, and they turned us over. But I don't know. I don't know if it's my head or my heart, but I still think we're going to win that game.
So you're saying 6 points so far. Who's next?
Well, Leeds in the Carabao Cup.
Oh yeah, let's go past that. Let's go past that.
Leicester away, man. That's a tough game.
Leicester looked good against United.
Yeah, they did, and I think there's goals in it because United still managed to get a couple of goals, and then they just kind of United were too easy to play through, and Leicester. I mean,
they were playing the diamond yesterday.
Sick the way that you played. Yeah. It was class. So,
but in saying that, Pogba and Matt, up to a point we're doing well against them, but then they fell apart. Maguire, crap show.
Yeah, I know. Maguire letting a couple guys spinning, but I think that's a tough game. I don't see us getting anything from that game. I'm not expecting any points. Last game then. What's the last one? Last game against Watford at home. That's Ranieri.
Oh, that's the bank. That's the one where I know it's Ranieri, but we need to take 3 points, 100% from that one.
Yeah. So for me, I think 9 points from 4. Sorry, 9 points from the 4 games, and then we're going to drop points against Leicester and. That's just me thinking that, on paper, I think we've got enough to beat these teams. But then obviously there's the Arsenal effect, isn't it? It's like, we expect them to beat certain teams, but then it depends which Arsenal team turn up. And let's not forget that.
Turn up.
They are still a young team.
And they're still earning our... They're still earning our trust as well. Like, they're still earning our trust in the sense...
Sorry, so you kind of, there's a bit of a lag there, but
no. I was just saying that. Yeah, sorry, I was just saying they're still earning our trust. We still got, as Arsenal fans, I still think we're still working out. Our heads are still with Emery and all of these guys, where you don't know what's going to happen from week to week. You don't know what Arsenal's turning up. So they're building our trust. We're looking a lot more solid. I think the parts where I'm still concerned about is the amount of chances we're creating. I want to see us still create more chances. I know we're a possession-based team, but I don't like possession for the sake of possession. At times it's good where we need to slow the game down and pick it up. And I guess with time we'll get better and better. But I want to see more end product and more chances created, like with the amount of possession we have. I know it's not frantic and you've got the ball. If you have the ball, you don't lose. But yeah, I want to see it. I want to see us be a
Yeah,
bit
it's
more
boring,
ruthless.
isn't it?
But
It's
then
like
at times,
meaningless possession. I call it. You know, just like playing between your defenders and the
but
goalkeeper. And you know,
yeah,
I prefer to I prefer us to kind of be a bit more creative, and maybe it's one we can chat about next time with like our
yeah,
style of play, because
I think,
it does need
uh,
proper conversation around that, because yeah, we
yeah,
are too predictable to
yeah,
play against, and yeah, man, we haven't got the fear factor anymore. And yeah, man, we've got to talk about our strike force as well, and you know
yeah,
what they can do, and our midfield, are they feeding them? But yeah, man, there's a lot of things for Mikel Arteta to do. But the way I look at it is built a foundation. So he's kind of started from the back, hasn't he? You know, got
mm,
a new goalkeeper, got a new back line. You know, Bartieni and obviously Gabriel's come back in.
mm,
Hopefully we get Partey fit, and he definitely needs a partner that's going to work with him. And I think, yeah, then obviously then you start looking forward and you start building from there. But yeah, you're right, man. We need to be creating a lot more chances, similar to what we did against Tottenham, because it is there, but there's that inconsistency, isn't it, of having a young team, and a lot of them like creating these relationships and creating these partnerships between each other. Then that will then elevate them to the next level. But I have seen some signs of that, especially the first 30 minutes against Tottenham. I was quite impressed with some of our one-touch play. You know, the guys on the ball were quite quickly, eager to get the ball going forward.
Bon,
Yeah. Are you still
yep,
there, Z?
you back with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
It went. Is the stream's playing up a bit. Right, it's all good because we're about to wrap it up now anyway, because that's an hour and 10 minutes.
What's going on? The stream's given up.
You there? Bon, can you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. The time just absolutely flies. That's 1 hour and 12 minutes, man.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad.
Yeah. So I think probably.
What's your thoughts? And are you thinking that 9 points from 12 in that next block of?
I think it's not an unreasonable request to ask for 3 wins out of those games. I think I wouldn't be surprised it could potentially be less, but I think it's a reasonable request to try and get 9 points, because I'm looking at Watford and Palace. We have to get the points against Watford and Palace, and just grab another 3 points from Leicester and who was the other team?
Aston Villa. Yeah,
Aston Villa. If you can get 3 points out of that, I think it's one of the things that can go either way. I think there'll probably be a few draws in there, but I think 9 points. I'll be delighted with 9 points out of the next 12.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I'm just happy that those games are at home. So the fact that they're at home and we've got the home support, so the fans will not accept. Yeah, exactly.
It's all on tomorrow. Tomorrow's the start of the new block, and that's gonna dictate, because we finished the last block with a drab 0-0 against Brighton. So I think if they can start off this next block with a good win against Palace, take that into the Villa game. If we can get something out of the Villa game, then we know we're up, where something's happening. That's when we really look up. We can stay injury free. We know something's happening. But I feel we just got to keep our players fit. Like the key players that we need to keep fit: Thomas Partey, Tommy, probably Gabriel. I'm going to put Gabriel's name down in there, and Ben White. To be fair, those four players, I feel like we have to keep fit.
Pretty much the whole first team, isn't it? Because
four. I'd say four.
First team, yeah.
I'd say four players have to keep. We need 4 players for sure. But Bob, we better wrap this up, because otherwise we're going into 1 hour and 20 minutes now, man.
No worries.
Yeah, exactly. But let's. Are you watching the game tomorrow? You watching the game tomorrow?
I'll be watching it. Yeah, definitely.
So possibly tomorrow, if not, definitely a reaction to what's happened, man.
Yeah, man. Let's do another one. Like, what your starting 11 is going to be as well.
Yeah,
and then
yeah. All
talk
right, then
about
cool. Maybe
Mission. Yeah?
we'll schedule that in for tomorrow morning or
Yeah,
tomorrow
even like a little
at
20
some
minute,
stage.
15, 20-minute thing. Then
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. All right, then, Bon.
All right,
Have a good
Zeke.
afternoon, and we'll catch up. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, come on, Arsenal,
Subscribe.
man. That win.
Yeah. Woo. All
Take
right,
care, man.
easy, boy.